name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and you're listening to Chaotic Riff Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.chaoticriff.com. And our guest today is lead singer Michael Dry from the band Gale Force. And welcome to the show, Michael. How are you doing?
Thank you, Jason. I'm doing well.
Now, I got to share with the people kind of the way I found out about your band is I was reaching out to an old friend of mine, Tracy G, who's a guitar player in your band, and just to kind of see what he was up to. And I seen that he was posting about this project, Gale Force, and you guys have a single, a video up right now. And what is the name of the song again? Could you help me out there?
It's called Crash and Burn.
Crash and Burn, and I got to tell people, so I was initially reaching out to my old friend Tracy to see what he was up to, and to see if he'd be interested in doing a new interview with me, and then I came across the video for Crash and Burn, and I want to urge people to really check out the video, because I can tell you, just based on hearing the one song and checking out the video, I was so impressed. It's like I haven't heard anything like this in a real long time. It comes across as really fresh and original sound, and it makes me I like the one track so much that I want to go out and get the full-length album. And can you tell us where are you guys with the full length? Has that got a release date? Has it been released yet?
Yeah, so far we've released it independently, and but we're keeping our vision open to whatever may transpire after this. But for those people who you just mentioned Crash and Burn, if you'd like to see that, that's at galeforceband.com, galeforceband.com, and then you can see that on the video page. But the album has been released now, just barely, and we made a call out for people if they wanted to buy. The first 200 people who wanted to buy a CD got a signed CD, and so we just sold out of those, but we still have CDs in stock, but it's released.
Well, you're off to a great start now. Do you think part of that is in a large part because of the way people have been responding to Crash and Burn? Or, talk a little bit about the history of the band. I mean, for one thing, how long have you guys been around as a band?
Well, we've been around only for about a year and a half, actually. We started... we actually met. They contacted me, and then we met at a restaurant in Pasadena, and that was actually. Well, let me backtrack. After they contacted me, they sent me one of the songs that they'd been working on, and I listened to it. And I actually really liked it. I felt compelled to write write some vocal melodies and lyrics to it, and then I sang the lead vocals in my studio and sent it back to them, and they really liked what I did, and so that's at that point we met at a restaurant, and we discussed everything and decided to form from that point on. So, and that first song was Crash and Burn. Actually, that was actually the first song we did before we even formed as a band.
Wow.
So, there you have it.
That's pretty impressive. And so, do you know how they came across your name, Michael? I mean, did somebody recommend you? Did they see a web page of yours or something?
Yeah, I have a presence online, and they saw that and listened to my music and thought that my lead vocals would be perfect for.
Yeah. And again, I haven't heard the rest of the album, so I'm just basing. I'm basing this all on the one track, but like I said, the one track was really impressive to me, and it's kind of interesting to hear that that's the first track that you guys did, and I think what's interesting, like I said initially, I was going to reach out to Tracy, see about doing a new interview, because I've been a big supporter of what he does for years, and I just wanted to catch up with him. But what's kind of interesting, like for anybody out there that knows Tracy G or is a fan of his work, I mean, of course, it's one track we're talking about, got great guitar work, but if you're thinking you're going to hear anything like what he did when he was in Dio or any of his great solo albums he put out over the years that really is guitar oriented, I mean, this is really not so much centered around just Tracy, but it's really like there's a band feel to this, and I think that's a great thing,
Tracy's a fantastic guitar player. He's very he does things a little bit differently than other guitarists do. In fact, let me quote to you what Ronnie James Dio said about him during his tenure with Ronnie.
Yeah.
He played, just to give you, well, you already know this, but you know, he played a few of Dio's
fan
studio
base
albums and a live album as well. But here's what Dio said. He said, Tracy is absolutely a brilliant guitar player. He doesn't want to be a guitar player that people expect. He's a real progressive thinker and plays the kind of music that Vinny Appice and I would want to play. I love playing with Tracy. Great sense of feel, great mind, and a great player. He's just brilliant all the way down the line, and he's capable of doing absolutely anything. I think he does a better job than anybody I've ever played with, unquote. Mm-hmm. That's Dio.
Yeah, I mean, Tracy G could be the type of guitar player that kind of just lives off of, ex-Dio guitars, but he, like I said, since then, he's put out a lot of great solo albums. He's one of these guitar players, while he has the ability to be a great shredder, Guitar Hero type player, everything he puts out, he kind of, it's not so much about that, it's about what fits the group that he's in, or what fits the song,
And plus the melody, actually, one of our ballads on the album is called Red Line, and what he did on that song is just amazing. It's in terms of the lead solo, it is so beautiful. He can go from playing a powerhouse, aggressive lead guitar or rhythm guitar to a beautiful melody, choosing the kind of notes that really bring the emotion out of the song. And so that's what he does in Redline.
Yeah,
it's an awesome solo.
I can believe that because I don't know if you've had a chance to hear it, but there was a song that he wrote when he was in Dio with Ronnie James Dio. It was, I think, one of the few ballads Ronnie James Dio has ever done, called This Is Your Life. And Tracy was a co-writer on that song, and it's one of the most beautiful ballads I've ever heard. I heard a version he did on one of his solo albums a few years, but that's just one of those great Dio tracks that he played on that a lot of people have kind of forgotten about.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk now a little bit about the other guys in the band and a little bit about your history. Like, I guess as far as you Michael, like, what are some things that you've done prior to Gale Force?
Well, I was in a band called Barren Cross.
Okay.
Kind of a bit of a progressive metal band. A little bit more along the lines of Iron Maiden back then when we were doing it more like Iron Maiden.
Oh, okay.
With sometimes different progressive time signatures from like bands like Yes. I was very influenced as I was growing up by the British progressive rock bands of the 70s.
Oh, wow.
Bands like Yes, King Crimson, UK, early Genesis, and some progressive rock bands from other countries like Rush and Kansas. Mm-hmm. I also liked British metal bands, but there's something about the British music that always attracted me. I think I found the music to be a bit more unique. It really started with the first album that I ever owned, which actually was the Beatles' Abbey Road when I was 7 years old.
Well, yeah, you can't go wrong with the Beatles. I mean, you're talking to a guy too. I'm typically into metal and hard rock, but I got appreciation for bands like even, the Beatles and Tom Petty and the Eagles, because these are great songwriters. These songs are 40, 50 years later still being played on the radio. And I mean, the great thing about easiest way to sum it up about the Beatles is, I recently got that album, the number ones, and the Beatles, it's really like a compilation of all their number one songs, 27 number one hits. I mean, for any band to have 27 number hit songs, that just kind of says it all.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing and impressive what they've done. But they were very unlike anyone else, any other band out there. Mm-hmm. So they were quite unique in their own respect. But back to how I started. I'll start with my mother and father. I'm a first generation American. Actually, my mother came from France. My father came from Belgium, and they both met on the beach in Venice, Los Angeles, California. Wow. And I grew up speaking French in the home. Actually, I can speak it fluently. I read it and write it as well. And at the age of 16, I asked a guitarist friend of mine to show me a few guitar chords, which he did, and I learned everything else on my own. Composing came naturally. I wrote my first song 3 months later and performed it live at my high school talent show.
Wow.
And then the year after I graduated from high school is when we formed my first real band, and that was Barren Cross.
Wow.
We received money from friends and family to record our first EP. We then sold about 4,000 copies of it very quickly and independently, which is what caught the eye of our first record company, who signed us and released our first official full-length album, after which our second record company bought out the contract from the first one, and then the rest is history. And so I had we released a bunch of albums and with that band. I did a lot of touring in almost every state in the United States and in Europe as well.
Would you say Barren Cross was more popular in Europe than America? The reason I asked I remember, I'll be honest, I can't probably name a single Barren Cross album or song, but I remember like in the 80s hearing about this band, and the name, and so people kind of hear this name and they're kind of aware of who the band is, but you guys never really kind of blew up in a big way in the United States. I was just kind of curious, why do you think that was? A matter of kind of wrong time, or what do you think it was?
I think, we probably get more. I get a lot of fan mail from all over the United States, actually. So I think it really kind of did an underground. Was really an underground thing.
Yeah. Amazing.
We're popular underground, if you will. But Europe, I get a lot of fan mail from Europe as well. But I probably don't. I get more fan mail, I think, from Brazil, believe it or not, than anywhere else. So I don't know. Things take off in different places. But I probably sell the most albums still for Barren Cross from here in the United States. Just
interesting.
All across the United States.
Interesting. And are any of those albums out of print, or can you pretty much still get all the Barren Cross albums if you want to check them out? Well, that's a good question. Some of them are available through me. Other ones are contractually bound. Wherever,
we can't. I don't have control over those. But anyway, that's a little bit of a loaded question.
Yeah, I hear you. But yeah, and then as far as those Barren Cross fans, the people that are aware of you from before, what's been the reaction to the new single? I mean, I'm assuming this isn't a carbon copy of Barren Cross, but have you been getting like pretty good reviews so far from people who've been reacting to the song, or people that know you from before?
Amazing reviews. The BC fans are just they're very happy with what I've put out, and I'm grateful for that. I'll boast in God about that one, because God is in full control over my life, and I'm really grateful for what He's allowed me to do.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, the songs, they really like them, and they've been sending me all kinds of comments on Facebook, social media, and the website, and this and that, and really telling me what they think. We have a community page now on the website where I'm asking the question, what are your 3 favorite songs on the Gale Force Subhuman album, and why? I like to know those kind of things. So some people say, well, this song and this song, and it's funny, it's never the same 1 or 2 or even 3 songs. They like, there are different songs that move them in different ways. And
again, it's kind of cool because you and Tracy have your fans kind of from before, but that's not the reason people are checking this. Like I said, I accidentally kind of found out the band through reaching out to Tracy and seeing what he was up to. I didn't know he was, I didn't know he's in a new band, or he's working, he was been part of this or whatever. And so I think people are kind of discovering the band accidentally, have similar stories. And I think it's a cool little way to build up the fan base. Because what I think's great about that is, like I said, you got your little fan base for you and Tracy, but it's kind of cool that just as many people like me, I'll be honest with you, Michael Drive, I've heard, like I said, the name Barren Cross. I'm aware of the band a little bit, but I'm kind of really discovering you for the first time, and so after talking to you, I'm going to go and I'm going to educate myself on some listening to some Barren Cross music, so that's the cool thing about people discovering this, what you guys are up to now. A lot of people know you from before, but then there are people like me that are just discovering who Michael Drive is through this.
Yeah, well, I hope you enjoy the album. I'm actually enjoying it myself. You know, one of my favorite parts of the whole process after we were done recording the whole thing is just sitting back and listening to it as a fan, if you will, as a listener.
That's great.
You know, when you're working on it, you're thinking about the bass lines, and you're thinking about you know, the different melodies and the structure of the songs and the balance and, you know, the mix and all of that stuff. And so you're kind of in work mode, and you're, you know, I'm enjoying it that way too. But when you're all done and it's mixed and it's mastered and you have the product back and actually the CD's in your hand, and you can just kick back on the sofa and just listen to your songs, just hearing the music as if you're hearing it for the first time, that's when it's really enjoyable. That's my favorite part of the whole process.
Yeah,
I have listened to my own album many times now, over and over again, because I enjoy the music myself.
That is so cool to hear. And you know, you just bring up a very good point there in the sense that I'm kind of old school that way, in that a lot of people want everything so immediate right now. A lot of people are like, I'm not going to buy the whole CD. I'm just going to buy the single. I'm just going to pay 99 cents. I don't want the whole album. I miss the days when, I mean, who would ever think that, you know, in Los Angeles, where I'm from, that, you know, not a lot of record stores, you know, anymore. I mean, I get most of my music either through the bands I listen to or a lot of it off of Amazon, just for the simple fact, if I go to my local Target, pretty much all I'm going to get there is, you know, the Beach Boys' greatest hits, and nothing wrong with that. But a lot, you know, when I was growing up, we had a lot more, you know, ability to go to a record store, a lot more, you know, ability to. We had a lot more options. I remember spending hours in the local Tower Records when I was growing up, and you could just spend hours in there, and they had so much. You know, you could spend all day just looking at the different, you know, different albums by the different artists. I mean, you're like, what am I going to buy? You know, I just miss those days, and I miss. That's why I still love to have I'm like you. I'd much rather hold a physical CD in my hand, read who played on it, the guest musicians, who wrote the songs, the artwork, all of that. You know.
Yeah, it's a nostalgic thing. Not a lot of people buy CDs anymore, but you know, it's really nice. But if you've ever held a vinyl in your hand, I mean, that's really nice. You know, you get this massive artwork that's right there in your face, and it's just great. You know, I kind of miss that kind of tangible type of thing. In this world, in this world today, we've kind of missed out now on personalizing things. You know, everybody's like so glued to their cell phones, and they're just looking down at a screen all the time. And they're missing out on life, you know. And let me ask you on that. I know it costs a little bit of money, but do you envision, even as a limited release, because vinyl is making a bit of a comeback? Could you see you guys doing like a limited vinyl release for this? That's possible. We haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
It's a bit expensive.
Yeah, of course.
And,
yeah.
You know, it's expensive to produce, and so therefore you have to, you know, the prices are going to be high on resale, but. I'd really like to do that. We've already talked about it, and so that's probably going to come down the pike.
Yeah.
In the next month, maybe. I'm guessing.
And because it is so costly, you know, even like I said, as a limited run, and the cool thing about that would make it more of a collector's item. You'd be amazed how many people I've talked to about, you know, since vinyl's been making a comeback. And I was talking to one musician, and he's telling me, he goes, you know, I don't even have a turntable anymore. I don't have anything to play it, man, but I've been buying everything that's coming out on vinyl just so I can have a collection. I mean, that kind of says it all right there, you know? You know,
because, you know, you can listen to the music on your MP3, your album download that comes with it, you know, because when people buy a CD through us, they automatically get the album download. You know, they come to GaleForceBand.com, they order the album there, and they automatically get the download when they buy the CD. So, you know, of course, you know, you don't have to buy the CD, but just buy the album download. But you can do the same thing with a vinyl. You know, you get the vinyl and you have all this beautiful artwork, and you can still listen to the music in a high quality MP3. You know. Yeah,
just amazing. And you know, I got to ask you, Michael. Now, you mentioned that the guys kind of reached out to you about joining the band once they'd gotten started. So my question was, everything already written by the time you joined the band, or did you get to contribute at all to any of the songwriting?
You know, we kind of did it organically as we as we went. They have ideas and songs that were unfinished and this and that, and we just worked on them and just worked them out. Mostly I did the lead vocals, all the lyrics and the melody lines of the vocals, and recorded all that myself. And they mostly did the music between them. It's kind of an interesting thing like that.
Well, that's the modern way of doing it,
I did a little bit of a rearrangement on some of the songs on the arrangements, but that was pretty much the.
Well, I think that really makes it that much more of a band effort as opposed to you just kind of being a guy that where by the time you join the band everything's already written, you just go in and record it because that way not just your singing but your influence kind of also gets to be brought into the band, as far as on the recording.
Yeah, we kind of did one song at a time. That's pretty much what we did. I would say, let's do this song. So songs that really moved me and gave me a passion to write to it. I just took off and went for it, and then we worked on that song till it was done, and then moved on to the next song. And that's kind of how we did the whole album. And it took about a year and a half to do it right because I don't like to just rush through things. I want to do it. If I'm going to do something, I want to do it well. I want to do it right.
Of course. And now you mentioned you play the guitar too, so I was wondering, in Gale Force and on the album, do you play guitar on the album as well, or do you kind of just let Tracy do his thing? Because I was curious if you play in Gale Force, like what's it like to, you two guys doing your guitar thing together?
Actually, I didn't. This is the first album that I haven't played any guitar on.
Interesting. And what was that like?
Well, that's fine. My favorite thing is focusing on the vocals anyway.
Yeah.
I don't regard myself as a guitar player first and foremost. I regard myself as a lead singer.
Of course.
And guitarist secondary. I'm a composer as well. I've composed a lot of songs for Barren Cross, music and lyrics.
Yeah.
But in this particular band, I didn't play any of the guitars. It was Tracy G on rhythm and lead, and then Paul Alfery is the rhythm guitar, the other rhythm guitar player.
Oh, okay. Now,
and there's Randy Oviedo, who's a great bass player, and so these guys are just Paul has a great talent as well. In many aspects, production and his playing. He's a really good rhythm guitar player. Randy's a fantastic bass player. Tracy, you already know, and this is a really very talented band and great songs. I'm very proud of what we've done, and really anxious for the world to hear this album.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm just discovering the band for the first time. It's the first time I've ever interviewed you, Michael. But even just going to your website and talking to you today, one thing that really comes across, even just if anybody goes on your website and looks at it, what you guys do a great job of it. Like it'd be one thing to say, and maybe you get a lot more fans this way saying like, Gale Force featuring Tracy G and Michael Drive. But I love the fact that like even just talking to me today, you highlight everybody in the band, and you know what I mean. So it's not just about featuring X Dio Guitarist. As great as that is and everything, everybody like there's a real band unity here, and even just talking to you today, you're really saying, this guy's great at this, and this guy brings this to the picture, and I really feel that band unity just going on the website and the way you guys are promoting the band.
Well, it's important that we recognize each other's talents, and it's important also, and this is something I've said a lot before in the past, is everybody is in an important position in life.
Of course.
If like you can do something that I can't, and it doesn't make, just because I'm a lead singer that writes good songs, doesn't make me more important than you are. For example, there things I can do that you can't, and there are things that you can do that I can't. We're all blessed with talents. Yeah. God gave us all talents, to use, and so I'm using mine to the best of my ability. My neighbor uses theirs, and we all have a place in life.
Yeah, and
it's kind of like the body. You've got your hands and your feet and your face, and everything is important. If you miss one of those elements, it would be a great loss in your body.
And you make a very good point about like you're not the most important guy in the band just because you're a singer, but at the same time, if they didn't have a guy that could really do a decent job at the singing, or if they couldn't find a guy that was, oh, we just can't find anybody to sing this stuff, it might turn into like an instrumental project. It might be a very different project. But you make the point that everybody, I always think, any given band you're talking about, everybody brings something to the table. I mean, you could have a guy that's got the biggest ego, he's the biggest, a-hole in the world, but, he's in the band for a reason. He's maybe a great guitar player, but you take that one guy out of the band and you replace him with somebody that's not maybe as big of an a-hole. Maybe he's not as good of a player. Maybe, he doesn't play like the original guy. There's anytime you change a band lineup, there's always there's negative and positive. It's never the same band again.
Yeah, well, like Spinal Tap, who went through a bunch of drummers, right?
Yeah. And
because they kept blowing up.
and I was curious because one of the hardest things I know in creating a band is coming up with a band name. I was curious. What's the story behind Gale Force? It's kind of a unique name. I was like, oh, what is that?
Well, it's just kind of, I don't. It's kind of the eye of the beholder, really. Gale Force wins. It's something that rushes through, and you can't help but notice it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's interesting. Okay, and you brought up being a fan of progressive rock, and I wanted to get your opinion on this. I don't know if you've ever heard the very first Judas Priest album, Rock-a-Rolla. I hadn't heard it in a long time, and so I got a chance to listen to it again in its entirety, and that's a very interesting album because although if you put that album on, you can kind of see the potential of what was in Judas Priest very early on, what they would become, but that's an album where it doesn't totally sound like Judas Priest, and part of the reason is Rob Halford, when he joined the band, a lot of his stuff was already written, so he's singing some other guy's material. But there are songs on that first Judas Priest album that is almost like progressive rock, if you can believe that. There's one song on there for it's got 3 different parts. It's like 8 or 9 minutes long. But I was just curious, have you ever had a chance to hear that, and what are your thoughts on that if you did?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with Judas Priest, but I don't think I've ever heard that one. I might have in the past, but I don't think I've heard that.
If you ever get a chance, just go on YouTube, type in like Rock-a-Rolla full album, and you'd be amazed. I mean, it sounds like it is indeed very early Judas Priest, but it sounds quite different from the metal giants they've become. And I've talked to other people about it, and it's like they were almost progressive rock at that time. Some of these early songs, you would just be amazed.
Okay.
Yeah. And so another thing I gotta bring up here, Michael, that I think is really great is there, and you consider 2020 what's gone on in the world in the last year with this pandemic. A lot of bands have been refusing to kind of, well, we're just gonna wait and see. We're not gonna bother releasing any new music until this is all over. Well, who in the hell knows when that is going to be? So if you guys are at least unable to tour, I think it's great that you put out some music for your fans to check out. So talk a little bit about that decision to release this in this current time, because I think it's a great one that you guys made.
Well, that actually, at first I thought to myself, I wonder if we shouldn't release this right now with everything that's going on. People are not in a good place mentally. But then I really started thinking, no, they need something positive. They need something that's going to lift them up, And the kind of lyrics, for example, the kind of lyrics I write are, I try to offer solutions to everyday issues in people's lives, and I want them to know. For example, in our song "Never Say Goodnight," I say you try to mend your grasp on what your past inflates, a path that you can't escape, but don't you let it change your future. Get back up. And it's a song that encourages people not to commit suicide, because suicide's going up, and drug overdoses are on their way up because people are lacking in hope. But there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of hope if people look to Jesus Christ, So I felt it was kind of time to offer something positive.
And I think that's why people are part of the reason people are responding to the way they are, not just because it's as far as great music and that, but I think too because they don't have a lot to listen to music wise as far as new stuff coming out. So if this is one of the few things that is coming out, I think people, hey, I'll give this a listen. I'll check it out. I'm not getting anything else, and it's very sad, like you said. Current state of the world, things going on. Things are getting, way too political in the sense that things are just being done. I just want to say a lot of these politicians and lawmakers that are telling people who gets to work, who doesn't get to work. These politicians, they still collect a paycheck no matter who's out of work. They still get to make a living, and they don't really sometimes, I think, stop and think about how their decisions affect other people. I mean, like I said, they get to collect a paycheck. They're not out of work for months and months. A lot of these people
they seem like to have a lack of empathy in government. There's a lot of corruption.
I mean, and I'll just leave it at this, but I'll say the worst part, I think, of this whole thing is locking people up for wanting, threatening to lock people up and fining them because they want to go to work or they want to earn a living. Well, you do what I say or you're going to go to jail. Oh, okay, I don't see how that's helping, anyone treating people like criminals, but that's my opinion. Anyways, so you guys probably aren't for a while going to be able to get out there and do any live shows or anything, but what's the plans if and when you're able to, like where's the band based out of? Is it here in LA or where are you guys from?
Yes, we are definitely from Los Angeles. We are presently in Los Angeles, and so we'll work out of here. And it's really up in the air. I think all of us artists are kind of wondering what's going to happen. When they're going to greenlight things, and even when they do greenlight us to be able to go back and play shows. Are people going to be too afraid yet? Because that's one of the things is they've stricken people with fear that they're going to catch this disease if they go to concerts and in big gatherings and such. And that's really not true when you look at the actual numbers. Very few people even get it, and those who do, very few of them even die from it. And so it's it only affects those really who are who have an underlying health condition and elderly.
Yeah, and
very few young people even are infected or even have any symptoms.
And the craziest thing to me, if you want to look at the so-called science, is here in California we're locking everything down, hardly able to do. I never thought it wouldn't be able to go to a movie theater, something as simple as that. But they're like you said, they're scaring a lot of people, and the thing of it is like they're locking everything down, and the rate is going up. So we have all these people wearing masks. People are being locked down, and it is still kind of spreading. So what you're working does not seem to be working. So maybe let's try something new, or let's see what's going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of unjust decisions that they've made. Like you can social distance in a grocery store, and you can social distance in a liquor store and in a casino, but you can't do that in a church.
Yeah,
by all means, so close the churches, And so it really doesn't make sense, and it almost seems to me like there's an agenda behind all of it. But I don't want to get into all that.
No, but I totally agree because we'll end it on this as far as that goes. But I'm able to go to Walmart, and there's tons of people in Walmart, and the parking lot is full, and I'm like, okay, nothing against Walmart. I like shopping there, but if I can go in Walmart, why can't I go, eat a meal at the local McDonald's? There's even fewer people in there, but it just seems like it's targeted. But I think all that being said, it's great. It's a great time to have a great new album by a great new band like Gale Force. Now, do you guys have any plans to release another single or video soon?
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully, we're actually already debating which song will be the next one to do a video, and so so we'll see. We don't we haven't made that decision yet, but right now we're really getting a lot of people that really like the first one, Crash and Burn.
Yeah, and now for people that heard Crash and Burn, I was curious. Would you say that would be a good example of the overall sound of our album, or would you say this album has many different sounds? So if you think that's just a example of what this band is about, you just scratched the surface.
Well, I think that all of the songs really go together very, very well. And yes, you can say that Crash and Burn is a good reference to the rest of the album. That's accurate to say that.
That's great.
But then when the second song opens up, which is the title track, Subhuman, man, it just really captures that one. Every time that one comes on, I always want to crank the volume. And I know Tracy has said the same thing on that song. You really want to turn it up because it's so great. Yeah. But all the songs they go together very well.
Now, like you were talking previously that you got two other guitar players in the band, but typically you're a guitar player and a singer. But like when you've been on stage, I imagine in the past having that guitar in your hand is kind of like a cool thing. But is this like something really different where not having the guitar in your hand? Or was it kind of freeing to just be able to concentrate on the lyrics and everything?
No, I'm actually quite used to just having the mic stand and the microphone in my hand.
Okay.
Even with Barren Cross, I would grab my guitar maybe 5 songs during the set.
Okay.
Or something like that, and I almost always played an acoustic solo during the middle of the show as well. But usually I'm right there on the microphone, and I'm running all over the stage.
Wow.
And I like to
have that freedom,
play with the people and have eye contact and pound their hands and this and that, and I just have a great time on stage.
And part of that be too because like I said, I've talked to people, I've interviewed many musicians over the years, and they've told me, if you have a guy that can like sing lead, front of band, and play the guitar, that's a talented guy. I mean, that takes a lot of work. So I imagine when you're up there on stage, playing the guitar maybe for 4 or 5 tracks, as you said, you got a little more freedom to run around and do whatever you're going to do and really get involved with the audience.
Yes, that's true. I like to interact. That's one of the things that I really like about doing concerts is being able to interact with the audience, not just stand up there, like a board and sing, but just look at the band and get down there with them. Get on my knees in front of the front row.
Yeah.
And just sing right to people and sometimes throw myself out to the audience. In fact, that's interesting. That I just brought up something that reminds me of something we did that was really funny. We were in South Texas. This is with Barren Cross.
Okay.
And the bass player, we thought we'd play a little trick on him because his crowd happened to be really rowdy that night. On this total south of Texas, close to the Mexican border. And anyway, we pushed him out into the crowd.
Oh, wow.
I mean, they were like piranhas. They started ripping all of his clothes off and his chains and everything. And if we would have left him down there 30 more seconds, we would have been completely naked.
Wow, that's amazing. And and then I wanted to ask you, like, being that you guys aren't able to get out there and tour like you typically would right now, have you discussed the possibility of doing any of these streaming events like other bands have been doing?
Yeah, no, actually, we'll probably do that too. But up until now, we were really strongly focusing on the recording.
Of course, yeah.
And obviously, because this really just came out. I mean, it's very, very fresh.
Yeah.
Subhuman.
I mean, like I said, I've just heard the one track and it's been so good. I can't wait to hear the rest of the album. And I really urge people to check out the single because it's going to leave you wanting to hear more. And final question for the day, Michael. I want to talk a little bit about your influences as far as you mentioned some of them, but is there a band or an album that you could kind of point to in your collection to say, that's the band or that's the album that really made me want to do what I'm doing?
Oh, I'm going to have to think about that one.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Is there an album?
Well, or even a couple of albums, or not particularly like your favorite, but just one that really kind of stood out to you.
Okay, I'll put this one out there. UK. The band is called UK.
Oh, wow.
And the album is called Danger Money.
Danger Money. Okay, I'll have to look that up. Wow. Well, Michael Drive, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and the interview we just did should be going up in the next week or two. I'll let you know the minute it posts. Once it does, you're welcome to post on any of your sites if you wish to do so, or just tell all your friends. And if you enjoyed this, when I get a chance to hear the rest of the album, maybe we could do a follow-up interview. But let's keep in touch, and anytime you have anything to promote, it could be with this band or any other projects you have, feel free to reach out to me. Okay.
Thank you very much, Jason. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh yeah, it's been great getting to know you. Take care, my friend. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.